Good evening, everyone. I'll call this regular meeting of the Sebastian City Council to order. If you would all rise for a moment of silence, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance that will be led by Councilmember Dodd this evening. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mayor Hill.
Here.
Vice Mayor Kitchen.
Here.
Councilmember Dodd.
Here.
Councilmember Iovino.
Here.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Here.
Thank you.
Council, do we have any modifications to the agenda this evening? All right, hearing none, we'll move to item 6. There are no proclamations. However, we do have brief announcements. Madam Vice Mayor?
Yes. It's February 15th, which is Friday night. The Sebastian Police Department's having another movie night out. They are showing Smallfoot at Riverview Park at 6:30 p.m. On Saturday, the Four Chaplains Commemoration Service will be held at Veterans Memorial Park at 3 p.m. Also on Saturday, the Sebastian River Art Club will be in Riverview Park from 10 to 4. February 18th is Monday. That's President's Day. City Hall will be closed. And on February 22nd, that's a Friday night, there will be another chamber concert in the park with Johnny and the Blaze from 5:30 to 8.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any other brief announcements from council members? All right, moves us up to the consent agenda. Item 7. Council, what's your pleasure?
Move approval.
Second. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Kitchen.
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd.
Yes.
Councilmember Iovino.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Yes.
Mayor Hill.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Item 8, committee reports and appointments. This evening we have an appointment to make to the Natural Resources Board. We have one applicant, Mr. Robert Holland. He has applied before, I believe. And I would move to appoint Mr. Howard to the vacant seat, however, extend the term of that seat to expire in 2022.
I second that.
All right, thank you. Congratulations, and thank you very much for your willingness to serve. There are no public hearings this evening, no unfinished business. At this time, if anyone from the public wishes to bring something to this council that's not already on the agenda, now is your time. Yes, sir.
Boy, that was a fast meeting. Did it goes off? Evening, everybody. My name is Bob Stephen. I live here in Sebastian on Concha Drive. All right, I wasn't ready so fast here. Good evening, Jim Hill, Vice Mayor Linda Kitchen, Councilman Ed Dodd, and Councilman Albert Lavino, and Councilmember Bob McPartlin. I'd like to remind each of you that the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission has suspended the use of herbicides to control aquatic weeds. I attended the meeting in Okeechobee last week. I listened to the testimonies from 40 individuals on the devastations caused by toxic herbicides around Lake Okeechobee. It was overwhelming. The communities that have banned the use of herbicides to include glyphosate are Martin County, the city of South Miami, the city of North Miami Beach, and the city of San Francisco. People are finally waking up. My question to you as a board representing our city, what is it going to take for you to open your minds up and stop spraying toxic chemicals on our waterways when we have all the alternatives? That's it. No answer. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else from the public have anything to bring to us? All right, seeing none, we will move on to new business. Item 12A, First reading of ordinance number O-19-01. Mr. Stokes.
Yes, sir. An ordinance of the City of Sebastian, Florida, amending Land Development Code, Article 22, Language and Definitions, amending Section 54-5-22.3C regarding adult personal service businesses, providing for severability and repeal of laws in conflict, providing for codification, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, this was brought up at a previous meeting. We had a potential business owner that was finding it near impossible to locate a tattoo parlor within the city limits because of the zoning category that it was placed in. City Council asked staff to look at a way of either modifying the code or looking at a way to make that business conducive to of what it actually was. And so staff has done that. Ms. Bosworth is here and
Mr.
her
Carlisle.
and,
1 second. Gentlemen, could we please keep it down? We're trying to run a meeting here, okay? All right, thank you very much. Go ahead.
So Ms. Bosworth, Ms. Frazier had looked at the code, and their recommendation and to the Planning and Zoning Board was not necessarily to change the zoning category, but the definitions, amend the definitions within the ordinance. And Ms. Bosworth here is able to answer any specific questions you have, but I think this was the desire of the City Council, and I hope that you'll look at this favorably.
No, certainly. I was shocked when I heard that it was basically impossible to open a tattoo parlor in town. It's something people believe that we know every single intricacy of every rule and regulation in town. So we shouldn't be shocked by the fact that these things are taking place. So I think this is a great example of how someone can bring to us something that they feel may be an injustice or an old law that's not working anymore. So I think this is working well, and I really like the way staff has done this without necessarily changing the law, but by changing the definition, it makes things a lot easier and a lot cleaner, and it really puts, in my opinion, this type of business where it belongs. Council, what's your pleasure?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Does anyone from the public wish to speak on ordinance number O-19-01? All right, seeing none. Any further discussion from council? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember Iovino?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Mayor Hill?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kitchen?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Item B, first reading of ordinance number O-19-03. Mr. Stokes.
An ordinance of the City of Sebastian, Florida. Scratch that. An ordinance of the City of Sebastian, Florida, repealing Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Section 2-75A and Section 2-74B regarding meal allowance and per diem, providing for codification, providing for scrivener's errors, providing for conflict, providing for severability of provisions, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Carlisle.
Mr. Mayor, this ordinance, some time ago, the city developed an ordinance and adopted a travel policy for constitutional officers, for city council, and for city employees. And in order to amend that to be consistent with state statute and with the IRS, always would require an ordinance modification. And we've talked with the city attorney about that, and it should be an administrative policy through the city to follow those statutes and to follow those changes with the IRS code rather than a legislative policy. So we'd ask City Council to consider this modification to the ordinance on the travel policy. It mostly affects the training staff, police department, public works, building department, those that have to keep their CEUs up, and it just helps us be consistent and to provide for what's allowed for by statute and by federal law.
All right, thank you very much. Council, what's your pleasure on item B?
Move approval.
Second.
A motion is second. Anyone from the public wish to speak on ordinance number O-19-03? All right, seeing none. Any further discussion from council? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Iovino?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Mayor Hill?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kitchen?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
And item C, approve contract with Nitty Sports Construction for pickleball courts. Mr. Carlisle.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, this has been a long time coming, and staff has worked diligently on this, and we've met with this Nitty Sports on several occasions, one for putting it back here behind the existing Friendship Park, and then as you know, we chose to relocate it out at the airport where it makes more sense, we're able to provide 8 pickleball courts with this process, parking, a restroom. This contract with Nitty Sports only addresses the pickleball courts, the site grading, parking lot, and the concrete flat work. We're not recommending that they do the shelters or the shade structures. They don't do the restrooms. That's another contract that we've already approved. And by piecemealing this out, it's allowed us to make that saving. So we're anticipating this, we have about $400,000 in the last year's budget and this year's budget that we should be able to get most everything done except for lighting in this, with these 2 funding cycles, which I think is a pretty big deal for us, considering what the costs of putting it behind Friendship Park with no bathroom and no additional parking was about the estimate was about $800,000. So, you know, with Brian and Scott and everybody and Randy working on getting these piecemeal parts put together, I think we're gonna have a fine project out there. If this is approved, in order to get us in the queue for construction, we have to approve a contract. They won't even put us in line to schedule construction, which is approximately 2 to 3 months in their schedule today. And that gives us time to finish our water management permits and finish with some design issues with some swells. Those are minor things. What's important is if I wait for all of that to get done, that just puts us further in the queue. I think there's an anticipation that we want to get this done sooner than later. And this will allow us to get us in the queue, allow us time while they're doing their construction and in their queue time to tie up those last few items that need to be done.
Sure.
So we'd ask the council to approve this contract, authorize me and the city attorney to execute the documents and get this project moving forward.
Okay, great. Counsel?
Mr. Mayor, move approval of pickleball courts.
I second. It's a long term coming. I mean,
Yep.
Where's our pickleball team?
Yeah.
I can't wait to cut the ribbon on that one, right? Yeah. Anyone from the public wish to speak on the hiring of the contractor for the pickleball courts? All right, seeing none, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Mayor Hill?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kitchen?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember Iovino?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Stokes?
Just one item, and that is the dispute resolution process that we're doing with the county. I believe you all received a copy of the resolution. The county commission meeting the time before last, they did, at the request of the county attorney, approve the resolution kicking off this dispute resolution process regarding the fire inspector issue. Just wanted to give you a little bit of a briefing on how Chapter 164 works. That chapter requires that if any governmental entities want to bring a lawsuit against another governmental entity, they have to go through this. It's a mandatory process. Step 1 is that the 2 chief executive officers need to meet. That meeting is scheduled for March 26th between our city manager and the county administrator. They will try and work it out, even though they've met on this numerous times before. Maybe there'll be some changes here. If they cannot reach an agreement, then we will go to both elected bodies meeting in a joint session that'll have to be publicly noticed and everything else, and we'll go through that. The question did come up as to whether there's any opportunity for executive session to talk strategy ahead of time. Sadly, there's not, because under the Government of Sunshine Law, we can only have an executive session once the lawsuit is filed. But Chapter 164 says we can't file the lawsuit until we have this process. So it's a weird little glitch in the law. So we'll have to continue to communicate with you one-on-one until such time as any kind of lawsuit gets filed. The only other thing, and as you know, I'm the lawyer in the room, so I'm going to tell you that making gratuitous public statements and stuff probably will only hamper the process. I think at this point you need to let your manager deal with what he needs to deal with. I'm continuing to work with the county attorney. We're exchanging documents and stuff, and hopefully we'll come up with some sort of resolution. So if not, we'll definitely be contacting you to find out your availability for that joint meeting at some point in the future. So
Look forward to it. Thank you. Mr. Carlisle?
Just want to make sure everybody realizes tomorrow's Valentine's Day, so let's not forget about that.
Oh, God.
Keep us all in the fair graces of our significant others. And I attended the tax watch meeting today, and it was very well attended. It was my first opportunity to provide updates on what the city of Sebastian is doing. We talked about the airport and the growth that's going on out there, the pickleball courts, the road program, and I think it was well received. And so it was a great opportunity to get out there and tout what Sebastian has been doing, and talked about the septic to sewer conversion and how that's moving forward, and had exchanged documents with Senator Mayfield's office on that. So Representative Grawl hasn't endorsed the project yet, and I'm still in conversations with her aide, but we do, Senator Mayfield is still looking at it, so we're moving forward. That number's changed as we did a complete budget. Our new ask is $1,877,000, still a significant number, and hopefully we'll get some support in the House. We have to have it on both sides and for it to move forward. But you know, we start the conversation, I think, is important. I think it's important that we get our voices in Tallahassee heard. I don't think we've done a lot of that in the past. On some occasions we have, but I think it's important that they know we need their assistance. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. Ms. Williams?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Council, I have one question for Mr. Carlisle. I noticed that the county is doing some clearing in and around the area of the lake over here on Main Street, across from the post office.
Right.
But they're clearing up, I guess probably invasives is probably what they're doing, is they're taking up the invasives.
In that drainage ditch, and the property owner just the other side of that has engaged an engineer to do some cleanup and drainage ditch improvements, existing drainage ditch clean out, to try to facilitate the drainage off of their property, the historical drainage. And so you'll be seeing some of that in the near future as well.
Yeah, I just wonder if there's a way that, you know, and I don't know if anyone has driven past that, but it's stunning. It's absolutely beautiful. And I don't know if there's a way that we could do some sort of a mutual agreement or some sort of try to get with the county on figuring out a way that maybe we can sort of clear that completely over to the lake, and as it would be passive. Now, I know it's a preserve. I'm not sure what the rules would be on that, but to have that clear, I mean, it's such a stunning lake, and it goes the entire length of that property. And until they cleared those invasives, you couldn't even see it. But what an amazing view that is from Main Street. And, you know, there's a parking lot there, and there's a bridge that goes over the little waterway there to the trails. And I think that would be something that would invite people to utilize that park, because I really think that there's a lot of people that don't know it's even there. And if they could just see that, and I think it would just be an inviting thing. So I think maybe, you know, we should take a look at that, maybe talk to the county and see if there's a way we can get them to maybe maintain that just to the lake.
And I'll get with Beth, their environmentalist, and have our staff talk with them and see if there's some joint partnership, and in some ways we can make that happen. We'll absolutely check into that.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much. I have nothing further except that there was a gentleman that came in. Sir, unfortunately, I know you want to bring something to this council. Unfortunately, we had passed you on the agenda. I would like, if you want to get with me and the city manager with whatever it is you have any concerns with, and after this meeting, and we can talk about it and see if we can work something out. Okay? Thank you, sir. Madam Vice Mayor.
I have nothing, thank you.
Councilmember Dodd.
No, I don't have anything.
Councilmember Evino.
I don't have anything.
Mr. McFarland.
No, sir.
All right, thank you. There being no further business, we are adjourned.